The gospel passage on which we will reflect today is the story of the raising of Lazarus from John chapter 1 through 45. In particular, I'd like to focus on the theme of friendship. We are introduced to Lazarus as the friend of Jesus. The Greek word used there is phileo, the love of friendship that they shared. We are also told that Jesus loved Martha and Mary and Lazarus. The Greek verb used there is agapao. It's that all-giving love that is generally said of God. We're also told that the onlookers, when Jesus got to the tomb of Lazarus and was overwhelmed with sadness, the onlookers said, "See how he loved this man, his friend." Again, phileo is used. The idea of friendship has as something very precious, as something very Christ-like, has faded somewhat in the Catholic tradition. In the classical Greek tradition, it was a very important part of life. People like Socrates, Plato and Aristotle, Cicero, they all spent quite a bit of time thinking and writing about friendship, as indeed did St. Augustine and some of the other fathers. Friendship was very important. Listen to a passage from St. Augustine's Confessions when one of his friends is dying, a friend, incidentally, who just accepted baptism, which Augustine himself hadn't accepted. He says of this man and his other friends to talk and to laugh with them, to do friendly acts of service for one another, to read well-written books together, sometimes to tell jokes and sometimes to be serious. These and similar expressions were like fuel to set our minds ablaze, to make but one out of many. It's a beautiful statement. Sadly, there crept into the Catholic tradition a counter force, probably based on the recognition that the Creator must be loved above all creatures. And that became an exaggerated emphasis and a distorted emphasis, so that the creatures weren't loved at all, weren't respected even. And it became even more distorted with the repression of sexuality and the bodily life. We've lost a sense of, largely, the delight in friendship at all levels, not just bodily, but psychologically, affectively, intellectually, being with one another and enjoying each other's company. There's something God-given about that. In 1609, there was a book published which has had an immense impact, and in a sense is both cause and effect. It manifests this darker side that crept in and forced friendship out. The book is called Practice of Perfection and Christian Values. It was written by a Spanish Jesuit in 1609, Alfonso Rodriguez. In one of the chapters, he says, "How violent and dangerous is the passion of love. How much we ought to fear it." That book was a manual from the beginning of the 17th century to the middle of the 20th century in many seminaries and novitiates throughout the world. There was a saying when I was in the seminary, "Nunquam dua," never just two. You must always have a third person there in case something happened. Particular friendships were frowned upon quite explicitly. Today is an opportunity when we hear of Jesus' friendship, his love of Lazarus, and Martha and Mary, to reflect on friendship in our lives. It is a Christ-like thing. It is a wonderful gift to have friends. How is friendship part of your life, your Christian life, your being a disciple of Jesus? To love another human being is a beautiful and a good thing.